first survivor of Thursday's building collapse was pulled out just before dawn Friday. The crowd cheered as others followed, some in rapid succession. Rescue workers used sensitive listening devices, dogs, and heavy machinery to aid in the effort, but it was the slow, tedious manual labor which accounted for much of the operation.
The baby seemed to be the easiest to get to at the time because we had to get to her to get to the rest of them. We found her underneath two other bodies, which were both deceased. We had to dig through a bunch of metal and plywood to get to her. It took approximately 2 hours to get to her.
Officials say the community's unified response was integral in the operation's success. Susan Lasovich, CNN, Brownsville, Texas.
Go. A baby is that is right, Tammy. And here is the baby. As you can see, it is cradled in what looks like a vinyl sheet with a paramedic holding the child in his arms. And he is alive. He is alive. He appears to be alive.
We found her underneath two other bodies, which were both deceased. We had to dig through a bunch of metal and plywood to get to her. It took approximately 2 hours to get to her. She was crying. And
officials believe there is another little girl still trapped in the rubble, and they say time is of the essence. At least 11 people were killed and 47 others injured when the store's roof collapsed yesterday during a heavy rainstorm.
How many were inside the store at the time of the collapse? How many are still trapped in the rubble? Through the courtesy of our affiliates in San Antonio and Westlake, Texas, we're going to try to show you some live pictures from Brownsville and to answer a few of those questions. To help me in that last endeavor, reporter Peter Torgerson of ABC affiliate KRGV and the mayor of Brownsville, Ignacio Garza. Peter, just give us a quick update. How many people have now been brought out? How many dead? How many alive? How many hurt?
Ted, right now the death toll stands at 8. 6 bodies have been brought out of the building. Actually, some of those victims were never in the building. Many people were standing outside on the street trying to get out of a torrential downpour which caused this terrible tragedy. At least one woman was killed in a car parked out in front of the store. We are told that there are 2 other bodies still inside. The rescue workers are not able to get them out at this time because a steel girder is apparently laying across the bodies. Emergency medical technicians have gone in and checked out the bodies and have pronounced those 2 other people dead. About 42 people were taken to area hospitals or went to hospitals themselves. As we understand it tonight, 8 are still hospitalized.
Now, do you have any idea, does anyone there have any idea how many people were actually inside the building at the time of the collapse?
No, that's the unknown at this point. The owner of the store, Bernard Levine, who was in the store at the time of the collapse, says he knows of at least 15 other people who were inside the building at the time. Now, it's not known how many exactly of those people got out, if there were more people inside. We have just found out that the building involved was a 3-story building instead of a 2-story building, and the 2nd and 3rd floors were vacant, so it's not likely there were many other people up there. That was something we had questions about, how many people might be on the 2nd floor, but apparently we're looking at no more than maybe 15.
All right, Peter, we are currently looking at some videotape of rescue workers trying to make their way through the rubble. While we're doing that, would you be good enough to hand the microphone to Mayor Garza?
Sure.
We can tell from the light in the background that obviously these pictures were taken during the late afternoon, early evening. Mayor Garza, perhaps you could describe for us what rescue attempts are underway right now.
We presently have several hundred people, volunteers from across the valley, from every government agency, local, state, and federal, helping at the rescue scene. What we're trying to do is it's a slow process of removing debris and rubble by hand, and then using heavy equipment where applicable. Obviously, there's a sense of trying to do it quickly, yet very safely, as we proceed through the building, trying to find any possible survivors in the rubble. We're going about it. We anticipate the effort will continue through the night and into tomorrow, and we will continue with the efforts, rotating crews as needed. Rescue volunteers have responded, as I said, from cities as far as 70 miles away. We have some special listening devices which are being flown in. We have some special camera equipment which will be used as soon as we think we have adequate paths cleared to get the equipment into there, and have been using specially trained dogs to try to locate survivors and or victims in the building.
Mayor Gaza, what we're going to be looking at right now as you and I are talking is some video of a few of the survivors. What kinds of stories have you been hearing from them? I mean, are any of them in a position to have given any description of what it was that happened and how it happened, or did it all happen so quickly that everyone is still confused?
The only survivor that I spoke to was the owner of the store, Mr. Bernard Levine, and he said he was standing in the middle of the store at the cash registers when all of a sudden the building collapsed around him. He was fortunate enough that a hole in the roof opened up above him and he was able to crawl out. That's the only survivor that I have spoken to. I think he had no advance warning. I think nobody in the store had any advance warning as far as what was going to happen, and I think it happened very quickly.
How is it possible that a roof can collapse? I mean, I mentioned at the top of the broadcast that there was very heavy rain, but was the rainfall so intense that it could cause an entire building to collapse?
We had I believe, a 2-inch rain in a very short period of time. We're operating on the assumption that it was an accumulation of water on the roof that caused the building to collapse. As of yet, we have no official determination. The efforts have been geared right now more to rescue efforts, trying to clear away the debris on the hope that there may be survivors. We have as yet to make any contact with anybody in the building. We have had no signs of life in the building, but we continue the effort based on the hope that perhaps there may be people trapped in pockets or different areas of the building that we can get to. But we have not made any official determination as to the exact cause. We operate, as I said, on the assumption that it was an accumulation of water on the roof of the building.
You're very close, of course, to the Mexican border there. Have any of your Mexican colleagues been able to help with the expertise that they developed during the earthquake?
As it turned out, we had a couple of people who happened to be visiting in the area who had worked in Mexico City during the earthquake, who came up and volunteered along with everybody else and gave some ideas in terms of tunneling and trying to tunnel through the material into the center of the building.
All right, Mr. Mayor, I know you've had an extraordinarily busy evening, and I very deeply appreciate that you took time to talk to us. Peter, we'll come back later in the broadcast and get a late update from you on what's going on. Thanks very much, both of you.
Thank you.
When we come back, we'll go to Aberdeen, Scotland.